Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining me here tonight. Tonight we are continuing on the Adventure Abounds Foundation paper piece project from the Splendid Sampler 2 book. So thank you for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning crafter. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 9:30 Eastern and 6:30 Pacific. And it's a time that we can relax and craft together for about an hour. And I work on projects from beginning to end, so you can be part of the whole process along the way. Our replays are up at Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube, so I hope that you follow me here on Facebook on the Penguin and Fish page, and also on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies. So thanks, you guys. So again, we are working on the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt-along. This is the Adventure Abounds block by Kitty Wilkin, and it is some foundation paper piecing. We have already finished the heart piece, so this is where we were at last night. So you can see this is the A section. We have all of the little A parts. So tonight we are going to just continue. We'll do the B section. There are quite a few pieces to that. Here we go. Lots of little parts of that. So that's probably all we'll get done tonight. But all of the parts after this, like the C through F sections, are not as intricate. So I think those will go pretty quickly. So thank you guys again for joining me. I'm excited to get going on this tonight. So I will flip you around. Oh, just a reminder, next week we will be stitching the Bumblebee Embroidery of the Month embroidery. So be sure to grab your pattern for that before next week. I'll be shipping things tomorrow, so there are some bundles left. So if you want to get the bundle about in time for us to start on Monday, then be sure to grab that tonight yet so I can ship it to you tomorrow. So all right, I'm going to flip you around and let's get going here. Okay, I gotta show you. I'm pretty proud of this. I cleaned up around here tonight there. So look at my bin world over here now. So right here, these bins are the Granny Squares quilt. This is the Splendid Sampler right there. I got the Aurifil Block of the Month there, and the Koala quilt is right there, and a couple other unfinished projects there. So I'm just feeling organized tonight, you guys. I got some bins in the mail, and they are working well. Oh, Dawn, you're working on the squirrel. Oh, you'll have to share. I was thinking, this did not even occur to me when I sent that squirrel is kind of like a hoarding animal, right? So I almost feel like I should have put a little toilet paper in his hands or something. Because that's what people are hoarding now. All right. So here is the B2 piece, and we'll just look at this again quick. So here is the heart. This is what we did last night. So this is the A section. So we know that because in front of all these numbers on here is the A. So we know this is the A section, and then we go in order. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we did all that last night and trimmed it up, and it is just looking so cute. So this is that part right there. So this whole entire section is last night's. So tonight we're just going to be working on this section up here. So a smaller section, but it does have quite a few pieces in there yet. And so it worked so well last night having the second photocopy to use to get our pieces out that I think I'm going to use this again tonight. So, all right, let's set aside all of our other pieces and let's get going on here. So we've already color-coded this. So we did this the first night. And again, this is my biggest tip for foundation paper piecing is to color in your pieces before you get going. Because once you start turning things around and moving things, you'll quickly get a little disoriented. So by having it all colored in like this, that's super helpful. So in this case, we have two colors. It is the two orangier colors out of the group, and one is solid and one has these little flowers on. So I know which one's which because this one is just all drawn in solid and I drew a little flower there. So I know B1, which is what we'll do first, is this solid color here. So that's the first thing I'm looking for. What color am I doing? So I have those two fabrics and then the rest is white. I have that white background. So I left them all without coloring them in. So I need a piece of fabric that's as big as this B1 piece, and we're going to go in order. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to start with this B1 piece. I need a piece of fabric that's as big as that B1 piece plus a generous 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I do a pretty generous seam allowance. It's not quite a 1/2 inch, but it's bigger than a 1/4 inch. And the reason I do that is just if things get shifted or moved around, then you're still going to be okay. You're still going to have the seam allowance you need. Oh, this is a huge piece. I don't think I used this hardly at all yet. We'll have to use this more in the rest of the quilt. All right, so all the parts that have the lines drawn on it, the pattern that has the lines, that's actually the back of your piece. So when you flip it around, that's the front. So same thing here. We're working on the back of the piece, and then when you flip it around, it's the right side. So whenever we're working with our pattern side up, we're going to put the fabric, the right side, the good side, down. So I have the wrong side of the fabric up. And really, I could just kind of cut a piece as big as this B1, plus that seam allowance. But I'm going to use our extra photocopy here, and I'm going to just kind of snip out that B1 piece. This just worked really nicely last night. And I'm not cutting this out perfect. I just like having the shape on hand. It's just really helpful to cut out pieces because you can see it right there. So what I'm going to do is kind of place the B1 pieces, so this piece in kind of the same direction, and then plop it down on here. So right about there. Need that good, generous seam allowance. Now I'm going to just cut around that piece. So that's why it's nice having that piece available, because I can just trim out around it right away there. You could actually pre-do this with all your pieces. If you wanted to cut all these out, you could pre-cut all your pieces like that if you really wanted to. I like doing it as I go, though. All right, we're actually done with this fabric. I don't need that anymore for this B piece. Okay, so all we're doing for the first piece, so anytime you have a number 1, you're going to do it the same. So all I need to do is grab a piece of glue, or a little bit of glue, and I'm going to stick it on the back of that B1 area. Just a little dab. We're just going to temporarily hold our fabric down here. And I'm going to place it on top of my piece. Remember, the wrong side of the fabric is up. And I'm going to make sure I just place it with that generous 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. And that looks pretty good. So we are done. That is all there is to the first piece. We're just gluing it on, and that's technically done. All right, so let's move on to the second piece. So after the 1 comes B2, and so let's first trim our generous seam allowance. So what we do for that is we are on B2, so we are going to cover up with our postcard everything that happened before B2, the piece that we're currently working on. So in that case, right now, that's just the B1. And we are going to just ignore anything that happens after the piece. So anything after this 2, we're going to completely ignore and pretend it's not there. So the line that touches both of these pieces is this one right here. So out of all these lines, this is the only one we need to be concerned with. And I'm going to cover that up. And we're going to fold this piece back here. And that's going to reveal our just rough seam allowance that we did there. So I'm going to grab my add a quarter ruler. So I used this last night, and that's just this ruler that has that built-in 1/4 inch seam allowance, or 1/4 inch marking here. It has a little bump, so I can bump it right up against that, that postcard edge. And then I can trim. So now, when I started with that blob, now I have a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance there. Oh no, Laura, I hope you're all doing okay there, jeez. All right, so B2, it is white, so we are gonna get our white fabric out, and let's trim that B2 piece out of our second piece, our second photocopy here. With weird oddball shapes like this makes this a whole lot easier too, having these template pieces cut out. Okay, so again, with the wrong side of the fabric down, in this case, it's white, it's the same on both sides, but I have to remember that this is going to be the right side, this is the wrong side. Okay. So I want the edge that matches the one that we just cut right here on the fold. I want that edge to be on a straight edge with a good 1/4 inch, with that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Let's go up here. This looks like a good spot. There we go. So this edge, I'm going to give like almost a normal 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to go a little bit bigger, but then all the way around it, I'm still going to give the generous seam allowance. I like calling them blobs. I'm just going to get that blob going around there. That's at least that 1/4 inch. And it doesn't have to be perfect at all. I mean, look, I got this jagged edge and everything. We are going to cut that all out so it's just right. All right, so I need to line up this edge. Remember, this is the right side. This is the wrong side still. I'm going to match that up, that straight edge here, with the one we just cut. So we're definitely going to test this because I don't know quite where on this edge I should place it just right. I'm kind of guessing sort of right in the middle here, but let's do our test to make sure. So I'm going to flip this around, and we're going to pretend sew on that line, and I'm going to just do that with a pin. Let's throw that pin in there. All right, that's true, Laura. You're hunkered down, going to finish a ton of stuff. That's a good way of thinking about things for sure. All right, so I'm fake pressing it open now. It's like I'm still doing my test. And now to conclude the test, I have to make sure that when I've pressed it open that I'm still surrounding my piece, that B2 piece, with the generous seam allowance. Oh, and because I cut this so big, we definitely have that generous 1/4 seam allowance all the way around. So that's perfect. So I'm going to fold it back, and now I can go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew right along that line. This is our same fold line, the same line that's in between the B1 and the B2 piece. So let's go to the machine, see if it plays nice a little bit more tonight. That would be cool. All right. Take my shoe off. It's so weird sewing with shoes on. I need just the sock here. All right. So we are sewing on that line, but we're not really going to cross over the line at all. We're going to stop right at the beginning and the end of our line that's in between the B1 and B2 piece. All right. All right, so I'm going to go a stitch or two forward, and then we'll go back a stitch just to kind of lock it in place. And then right on that line. And I love this because I don't have to worry about anything except for sewing in a straight line. Ooh, my machine's looking a little goofy over here. Yeah, I think we're fine still. I was having so much trouble with my machine last night, but we'll see if we're okay. Okay, and then I just went backwards and then forward a little bit at the end here. Oh my gosh, Laura, that's not fun. All right, there we go. Let it snip this. Oh, you're extending spring break and then going online. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. A lot of people, that seems what a lot of colleges and high schools seem to be doing. All right, so I'm snipping off those little fabrics right away here. That gets annoying if you leave those there. They get in the way real quick. But there we go. We sewed in between the line there. Now let's go to press. And that is the last little step, just the press. All right. So I got my iron on. Oh, hold on there. Okay. And always press with the printed side down because you don't want to get any of this printing on your iron. So I'm going to go like this. First, I'm going to finger press it, which just means I'm going to just press it open with my fingers. And I'm going to go right on my sewing line. And then I'm going to extend the fold past to where my sewing marks are. Because remember, we didn't sew along that total edge there, but I need to extend that fold a little bit there. All right, and then let's press. Okay, and the B2 piece is done, so we can move on. B3 is next, so let's go get going on that. So to start out again, we are going to get our postcard, and so now we're on B3, so we are going to cover up everything that happens before. That's B1 and B2, and completely ignore everything else. So we're concerned with that line in between our current piece and whatever happened before. So that's only this line there. So let's cover those up. Fold back our piece, and there we go. There's our crazy seam allowance there. Let's get our 1/4 inch. Trim that. And then we have our super nice 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, let's get our B3 piece. It is white. And I'm going to trim out again from here. This is like a little extra step having to trim from the template here, but it is just so handy. It's like one more thing that my brain doesn't have to do, and that's good enough for me. All right. Let's find that. Where did we cut off here before? There we go. Let's go here. Okay, so the piece that we want that straight edge is going to be this line right here. So this edge right there needs to be on that kind of 1/4 inch straight edge. And you can cut your own straight edge. I've just been kind of using the sides of the fabric here. So let's, I could go this way too, really, but let's stay on this straight edge. And then the rest, I want to get that generous seam allowance going. Again, I'm just totally cutting my crazy blob shape. I like that. All right, so then that straight edge, that's the line that's going to match up with our piece right here. And let's do our little test again to make sure that we placed it right. But I think I've made it big enough that we'll be okay. But let's test it anyway. I like testing these oddball shapes, like these funny ones, like this B3 piece. Okay, my fake sewing, and now my fake pressing. All right, and let's see. Did we get our generous seam allowance all the way around it? Wow, we're actually pretty close at the bottom here. Here's our bottom line. And I don't know. I mean, I guess we do have the generous 1/4 seam allowance, but that's kind That's playing it a little too close for comfort. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my piece down here. So let's take that pin out. And I need to shift my piece just like a little bit this way. So there we go. So here's a case where I did have to move my piece down. I could retest it, but yeah, why don't we just do that? Let's retest it quick. I mean, I just can kind of, well, now let's just do it. I want to get through this, but I don't want to mess it up. It's so hard to go back if you've done something wrong with paper piecing that it's best just to cut the big blobs and do the testing, I think. In the end, it's faster. All right, that's a little bit better. We got a better seam allowance there. Actually, looks like I didn't really move it all that much, but I think we're in the clear now. All right, so now I'm going to sew along that line, but just like last night, because this line extends into an edge, I'm going to actually sew starting at the edge and then get on the line, and then I'll stop again right when I hit that other piece there. So, all right, let's get back to the sewing machine. All righty. So I'm going to start up a little higher here because I want to get into that paper, that edge. Get rid of that pin now. We'll back tack a little and then forward again. Okay, and then let's reverse for one or two to lock it in place, and then forward. Alrighty. So far, so good on the machine tonight. That's promising. Except for I'm getting fuzzles all over my shirt. Alright, let's trim these fellers up. Snip those there. It is, Catherine. It's for some reason it's just behaving so much better tonight. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe, I don't know. I did bring it to my parents' house, so maybe it didn't like traveling. I don't know. Something about it though. It was just not as happy as it should be. All right, let's press this. Oh, look, I'm having to move all my stuff again, so I'm still not used to placing it all above me. Okay, let's finger press this first. It is fun to still sew on it though. I mean, it sounds like a lawnmower. It's just a cool old machine and I like it. All right, we're starting to form the top of our little pine tree here for sure. We got this triangle going. So that piece is done. Next up, we got this skinny little B4 piece there. That's a nice itty bitty piece. So, all right, we need to cover up everything that happened before and just reveal the piece in between what happened before and here. Yep, and then we'll get this next edge with that B5. All right, that looks right. So let's get our postcard and add a quarter ruler. So covering up everything from before. All right, let's fold that back. Pop that on. I love that you can cut all these blobs this whole time, but you're always going to end up with an absolutely perfect seam allowance there. Fun. Yeah, look how nice that is. All right, so let's get that B4, or it's a white piece again, and I'm going to keep using these little templates because that really is helping me a lot here. So make a second photocopy and use that for these little pieces. Look at this. This is a wacky looking piece, isn't it? Get that little bit there. All right. White fabric again. right, so let's take a look at this again. So now the straight edge part that needs to match up, it looks like it's this edge right here. So that's going to the full. So this is the straight edge that we need to match up. So I'm going to rotate it around like that. And that'll be kind of like our 1/4 inch area. And then the rest will be our generous 1/4 inch seam allowance. Just trying to fit it in all these little spots on my fabric. All right. So I still have those kind of pieces lined up. This is our nice edge. So that edge matches up to this edge here. Just like that. And let's kind of get our bearings here. Okay, I do want to test this one because all these odd shapes, I just never quite know if I'm going to get them in the right spot. So this is a little longer, so I'm going to use the two posts or two pins here. Oh, you got your bumblebee box. That's awesome. Yeah, so I still actually have a few of our bumblebee supplies bundles left. So if you're wanting like that cute little necklace in there, or getting all the fabric and the floss and all that, I do still have some of those available. All right, so I'm checking again. Do I have my generous 1/4 inch seam allowance? And I think I do, so we're good. I'm gonna fold this back. Let's sew. Oh, you like your postcard too? That's nice. Oh yeah, Bonnie, we had the rain here too. It rained for a good portion of the day. It wasn't like a big thunderstorm or like a ton of rain. I mean, it rained for a long time, but it just felt like kind of a gentle spring rain, not like a downpour. All right. I'm always afraid when this guy starts going, this machine. All right, and forward. All right, I'm going to remove that pin. And right on the line. Oh, and here again, we're going into the edge here, so I'm going to extend my stitching all the way past and into the fabric there, and we'll add a little backward stitch to lock it in place again. All right, lift that up. Yeah, for some reason, the machine's not doing that weird, like, stripping of my thread almost that it was yesterday. Maybe I'm just being a little bit more gentle. That could be too. I've learned the ways of the machine. All right, let's press that big bloop. All right, so let's finger press that first still. All right, and get the iron out. With each new piece that we're putting on here, it's shaping our pieces just a little bit more. Ooh, and I think next up, yeah, so we get to do that other piece of fabric here. So now we get to do that B5 piece. Oh, that'll be fun. So that's that other orange fabric. So we'll get doing that. All right. So let's expose the 5 and cover up everything that happened before and ignore everything that's happening after. So let's flip that. Ooh, we're cutting through 3 seam allowances there. Or 3 other little pieces of fabric. You do get a lot of little scraps with foundation paper piecing, but I still really like being able to cut the big blobs. Okay, so we need our florally fabric. Let's find that again. Okay, right here. Oh, and let's cut out our little shape as well. Our B5 piece right here. All right. Okay, so we need to match up this edge as our straight area. Oh, I don't have too much of this stuff left here. All right, let's go right here on this fold. You know what? I think I'm going to just give that a little quick press there. That's a pretty harsh fold. I think it'll be kind of in my way if I don't do this. There we go. That should be plenty. And what edge did I need? Oh, that top edge. So we'll put that right on the kind of built-in straight edge there, and we'll blob around the rest. All right. So let's match up that straight edge with this straight edge. All right, and now I'm going to try that thing where I just kind of mark with my fingers the edge of these, and let's see if where I'm at on this side. So, all right, so here I don't have that much seam allowance, so I'm going to already scooch this way down this way. Okay, so I'm putting my fingers on the line again at those two spots. Okay, there. Now I have a good seam allowance there and there. So I think we're actually probably fine now. So that was my test this time. I did the little fingernail test instead of the pin test here. All right, let's sew along that edge here. Flip him around. We're still matched up. Yeah. And oh, so now this is not going to the side or to the edges yet, so we're going to go in between these two bigger pieces here. Oops, started a little further back, but that's okay. And forward. Okay. Exactly, Bonnie. All right, snip those little bits off again. On the back as well. Okay, let's press. Okay, finger press first. Oh, look, we're shaping we have the final shape of our first piece now. We've framed it all up with these other pieces. Loose fuzzle there. All right, so there we go. There's our first little, that's the top of our pine tree. And now all we have to do is like finish shaping it. So we have, that was B5, so we have B6 and B7, and then we're done. So all right, B6, let's cover up everything that happened before and get our postcard going out here again. Okay, keep that B6 there. Add a quarter ruler there. All right. And now I'm going to cut that last little, not quite the last, but little template piece here. All right, so the straight piece that matches up with our fold is this line there. So that's the line I'm gonna want the straight edge on, and it's the white. So here we are. And if you don't have like a perfectly straight edge, you can make your own. Like I want to put this right here, but this isn't a very straight edge. So feel free to just trim that down. Oh gosh, feeling intentionally cut. There we go. There we go. There's our straight edge. Okay, so now we can add that loop around the rest of this. The bigger 1/4 inch. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're matching up that straight edge with this one here. So let's flip them both together. Okay. Oh, Denise, yes, I love the 1/4 ruler, the add a 1/4 ruler. You know, it's such a silly tool. I keep saying this, but it's so silly because you could just measure a 1/4 inch with a normal ruler, but just the idea that I don't even have to think about it and I can just bump it up and it bumps right against this this edge. You can kind of see it's bumped out there. So it just hits the postcard. So I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about measuring. I don't have to line anything up. It's just perfect right away. All right, I'm going to do that little finger test. So when I flip these around, oh yeah, I got a decent 1/4 inch on both of those sides. So I'm going to just sit it down there. Oh, you have two, Sylvia? You know, not a bad idea. Then you'll always have one with whatever project you're working on. You know, I tried and add an 1/8 ruler. Ooh. Oh, well, that could be one of my issues here. Look, my foot just came off. How do I tighten that? Oh, there we go. All right, so this is how I loosen my foot, apparently, on this machine. Okay, there we go. That's interesting. See, learning all the stuff on this machine yet. All of a sudden, the foot came off. Okay, let's flip this around. Okay, I'm sewing into both edges here. That would have been bad if I hit the needle on the foot. Then we would have needed to put a new needle in here too. Oops, that was a bit far. Okay. Let's see how we did. All right, one piece after this. Has the steampunk had a good oiling? So I did oil it originally, but you know what? It definitely could probably use it. So maybe after we finish this project this week, I'll give it a little oil. This one I think is a bit easier to oil than the other machine because it just has a couple holes that I have to drop some oil in. I can't really open up this machine at all. So I think I can flip it upside down a little bit, but there's just a few holes that that I need to put a couple drops of oil in there. But yeah, I should definitely do that. Oh, look at these fun pieces that we're making here. All right, one left, you guys. The B7 piece there, and then we can trim it so it looks all super pretty. All right, let's trim. So we need to cover up everything that happened before, which right now is everything. We're just left with that B7 piece. And now I did sew in a little far there, so I'm gonna have to tear the paper a little bit. There we go, to get it all the way on the line here. So you just bop it right on. Like I don't have to think. I could literally do this part, except for the knife, with my eyes closed, but I could get that on and ready to go. So much easier than having to actually measure. Oh, you oiled your featherweight tonight. Oh, that's nice. So Lucy, I'm curious about all you guys. With the oiling of the machine, do you do that on a sort of like a schedule, like once a month, or do you do it like after each project, or do you not do it? I'm just curious about how you guys go about oiling or any general kind of maintenance on your machine. I think I need to do it more often, but I'm definitely doing it a ton more than when like I started the first Splendid Sampler, for example. Like that's when I learned that I had to do all that stuff and learned how to do it on my own. I was taking it in to do a lot of that sort of stuff. The general maintenance of the machine. All right, so our last piece. Oh, every 8 hours of sewing. Oh gosh, oh that's interesting. Then I should definitely be doing it more often. Ooh, that would be almost like once a week for me here. All right, this is that line we're matching up. Gosh, maybe I should do it. I should do it at least every month then, shouldn't I? Sylvia, you might be able to, if you don't have the manual, like I like looking, at least on the other machine, I like looking at the manual to find all the different spots that it points out where to oil. So if you can find your manual or find it online or something, you might be able to see all the little areas to iron. All right, I'm definitely past the 1/4 inch there, so we're definitely good here. Let's sew this guy. Yeah, the bigger the blobs that you make, the farther away from the 1/4 inch, the bigger than a 1/4 inch, the less you have to match things up perfectly with this, which is awesome. All right, flip that guy down. We are in the edges again, so I'm extending the line. All right. I want to show you guys what I'm doing over here. So I think it's the coolest looking thing. So I can't get that much farther over, but it's forward on black, reverse on red. So if I pull this dial down, you can kind of tell it turned red right there. So now I'm going in reverse, and now I'm going forward. So when I'm going reverse and forward, that's what I'm doing over here on this machine. It's just kind of fun. All right. Up. All right, this is our last little bit of pressing. I know, last bit of sewing. So I will press this and then we will trim that edge and we should be good to go then. And I think we will probably call it an evening then too. Oh, look, it's gonna be so cute. Okay. There we are again. So I want you guys to look at this. So we are done with all of the pieces, but look at, how blobby and kind of unfinished it looks right now. We're gonna trim it and it's gonna magically feel so much more finished. And I just love this part. So, all right, let's get above here. I'm gonna actually get the normal ruler out now. I'm gonna get this guy out and I'm gonna ignore the outer edge and I'm gonna pay attention to this line that's part of our design here. And I'm gonna do a 1/4 inch. I'm gonna cut a 1/4 inch from that line. I'm not gonna worry so much about the outer line. I'm just concerned about being a 1/4 inch away from this inner line here. Okay, and if you cut little pieces of paper away, that's totally fine. It's going to be most accurate if you're doing the 1/4 inch from the actual line on the inside. Ooh, we're cutting through a whole pile of stuff on this part. All right. Two more. I could use the 1/4 inch ruler, but the thing is, with the 1/4 inch ruler, you do, oops, missed a little edge here. You do have that bump So it acts, so it's a little goofy. So, you know, what's nice about this is it has that lip. So when you have something stiff, like a postcard, it can go right up against this. But here we only have that little piece of paper. And I mean, so really I could take that inside line and use that to measure, kind of like this. But I don't know. I guess I could go like this. Let's give it a try. I feel like I'm not maybe getting quite the surface that I want, but actually maybe that works kind of nice. Huh, maybe I will keep doing that. That did get enough push on it, I think. So, all right, I'm okay with that. We'll do that again. All right, so remember what it looked like before? There we go. So much cleaner and prettier and more perfect. And we did get a little bit of that flower in there, so that's good. All right, so this is what these two pieces look like now. So eventually they will have, you know, these are in reverse, so it's not going to be quite right, but we'll get these little guys in here next. And our little tree's coming along. So we have kind of like this orangey tree instead of a green tree, but I think that's going to be kind of cute. So again, here is the final here in the Adventure Abounds block. So you can see we got our little bit up there, this little chunk, and our little heart is finished. That's a bigger piece here. So awesome. So those were probably the two most intricate pieces. So I think from here on out, it's going to go pretty quickly. Like both of, like this only has 3 pieces. This only has 4. This only has 3. This one seems pretty straightforward. So these are the two that have the most like intricate bits going on there. So I feel good about where we got there. So I think that's probably where we're going to end it for tonight as well, you guys. So I'm going to flip you around. All right, hello again. Okay, so here it is. Tiny, 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 tiny. And again with the little heart. So it is, we're getting there. So I'll probably work on this a little bit more tomorrow night, and then it won't be till next month that we'll continue on this, but I don't see any reason that we won't get this done the next time we work on it, for sure. I think we'll be totally fine. And we're going to be putzing around with all our equipment again here, too, so tomorrow we'll try maybe some new camera stuff again. We'll see. We'll give it some tests. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. So awesome, you guys. Thanks again for joining me. This will go up on Penguin and Fish Movies right now when we're done here on YouTube, and you can watch the replay there. And thanks again. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.